Australians of Reddit, what is the scariest encounter you've had with one of the native animals? I had just come home after a long bicycle ride. I took my shoes off and just forgot to bring them inside afterwards. 2 days later I was about to go on another bicycle ride, so needed my shoes. I put my left one on with no problems, but felt something a little squishy when putting my foot into my right shoe. I immediately took my foot out to discover it to be covered in at least 100 baby spiders, and a larger redback spider came scuttling out of the shoe. Don't leave your shoes outside, or at the very least check them, unlike me. I was driving on a straight and sealed road through barren land and had not seen anything on the road or to either side for about half an hour when I had to decelerate heavily to avoid driving into a group of half a dozen emus who were startled and who scattered in all directions. While I was mowing, saw a snake, thought it was a red-bellied black snake, get them all the time, so I took a stick and hit the ground near it to scare it off. Fudging thing arced up, hissed and charged at me. I took off. It was a tiger snake. Lived in the outback. Was just minding my own business walking past the local cinema and a 6-foot emu came running out from behind a tree and nearly knocked me down. Scared the absolute crap out of me. Follow-up, emus were not supposed to be in the township. There was a fence to keep them out, so town services had to forcibly evict it. They achieved this by driving up close to it, throwing a noose around its neck, quickly winding up the windows and slowly escorting it out of town. Bad idea. They are surprisingly strong and it kicked in the whole side of the vehicle in the process. About 5 years ago I was fully envenomated by a king brown while working on a remote mine site in the Pilbara, WA. I had all sorts of side effects from the antivenom, including blindness. It took 2 years to fully recover. I'm not from Australia but lived in Brisbane for a year while studying abroad. Was walking to the bars with a friend in the evening, quite dark out even on suburb city streets, so I pulled out my smartphone camera light. Just as I do so, I pan up to rustling in a nearby tree and there is a giant bat on a tree that turns around and spreads its wings like it's Batman. We ran out of there damn fast. After that, along with spider webs, I no longer walk on sidewalks into the suburbs, even during the day. Went into my shed, no lights, only to find out it was full of redbacks with webs in every corner. Now I am not scared of spiders, but holy Christ, half a bloody dozen were crawling all over me. Lucky I had some friends that were more than happy to smack them off. A leech attached itself to the middle of my eyeball while I was hiking in the rainforest. My friends wanted to piss on it, or light a match over it, but neither solution seemed ideal. So I waited while it wiggled about, filled up with blood, and finally dropped off an hour later. The following week I went on a date with one of the guys I met on that hike, even though I still had a zombie eye from the leech bite. 10 years on, last year, he and I went back to the place where he first looked me in the eye with that leech wiggling about, and we were married in the rainforest with our friends standing by. 3 dingus rolled up on me and my sisters on Fraser Island. Dad chased them off with a big stick before they could do anything besides make all 3 of us spit ourselves. Being swooped by magpies and even plovers. They are very territorial and annoying as fudge. When they swoop they don't generally hit you but get close enough for you to hear them swoop next to your head. Hubby and a couple of mates were swimming in the dam in their jocks when someone yelled out crocodile, but it was an 8-foot black snake swimming out after them on top of the water. Hubby went back to the gum tree to get his clothes and the black snake had curled up next to their pile of clothes. They walked about 2 miles back home in wet jocks, barefoot. The 3 of them went back on the tractor with a shotgun but couldn't find the snake. He also reckons he saw a black panther in the bush, but I'm skeptical. In bed, felt something scutter over my chest. Turned on the light. Saw nothing. Then as I went to turn the light off, saw a giant fudging huntsman crawl under the mattress. I was so tired that I left it, but it still freaks me the fudge out. I was sleeping in my bed and suddenly woke up for no reason. I looked around for a bit before noticing the largest huntsman spider I had ever seen in my life clinging to the ceiling right over my head, and as soon as I saw it I panicked and leaped out of bed, and not 10 seconds later the spider had dropped down onto my pillow right where my head would have been. That incident literally gave me arachnophobia. I was swimming bathing in a river when I saw a snake get into the water a few meters away. And it was coming towards me. And it could swim a lot better than I could. Now snakes are bad enough when you can run away, but can't really do that in this situation. So I pissed myself as the snake passed beside me and got out of the river on the other side. And then I decided swim time, and really all time in the bush, was over. Jesus Christ, thank you for triggering this wonderful childhood memory that I had joyfully buried deep into my subconscious until this moment. One of my childhood friends lived on a big farm in WA, and we'd spend most of the holidays staying at her place doing whatever farm related mischief 2 8-year-olds could get up to all day, then passing out like the dead. Anyway, one morning I woke up and she was sitting on the floor in the middle of the room staring at me. My immediate reaction was, what the spit are you doing? She pointed behind me at the biggest gosh damn huntsman I had ever seen, a few inches from my head, just relaxing on the wall having a grand old time. I asked her why the fudge she didn't poke me and get me out of bed and preferably to another planet, far away from that monstrosity, and she replied, because a minute ago it was on your face. My cat decided to bring a live baby snake into the house. Thanks Bailey. Was down at a lodge by a lake with some friends and we brought one girl's 2 dogs, big dogs, Briars. Anyway, it was evening and the dogs start going crazy, so we look outside to see what's going, and there's a whole mob of kangaroos, like at least 15 all just standing in the trees near our little lodge. IDK how, but one of the dogs opened the gate and they both went running after the roos. Fully chasing them, going wild, barking and spit. Me and my friends had to sprint after the kangaroos to try and get the dogs back. The dogs somehow cornered them but weren't moving no matter how much we called them, so we had to go up to the roos to get the dogs. Had a stare off with one of them, was spit scared full, thought it was gonna punch me in the face. Bloody terrifying. I'd say that time I took off my gum boot that I had been wearing without socks, and a redback spider crawls right out of it. I'm not even sure how I managed to not get bitten that whole time my bare naked foot was sharing a space with it in close quarters. 2 for me, walking through scrubland at the height of summer in flip-flops. I wasn't paying attention and almost tread on a tiger snake. Never and so fast in my life. When I was 7 I heard what I thought was a Tasmanian devil outside my window. Turns out the blood-curdling sounds from depths of hell were actually 2 possums mating. I live in Sydney, so none, unless you count a shark alarm at Bondi Beach once, or include huntsman spiders deciding to be in the most inconvenient places, like chilling between my car door handle, in my letterbox, perched above my shower, etc. It's just inappropriate behavior on their half. I mean, I saw a snake once on holidays, but it was just a diamond snake, not one of the deadly ones. I was swimming at the beach and was heading out on my boogie board to catch a wave. The waves were huge and the water was crystal clear. I was diving under the waves that were breaking when all of a sudden, as the next wave rose in front of me, I saw it, the biggest fudging jellyfish I've ever seen in my gosh damn life. It was inside the wave, right in front of me, and I was being drawn in. I froze for a second and just turned around and paddled like a fudging maniac. I went over the wave but just kept paddling. Made it to shore and I was done for the day. Actual scariest, hitting a wombat while driving. Could have seriously fudgied up the car, although fortunately for me, my passengers in the car I hit it at 20 km/h after slamming the brakes. This still wasn't fortunate for clump of fuzz, which became a pile of blood and muscle and bones and skin on the road. Funniest. 2005, me and NGF are camping. I'm sound asleep. There's a commotion that almost wakes me up. I'm in a deep daze. A wombat has forced its way into our tent, and my ex, who was much more awake than me at this point, is kicking the heavy fuzzball to try to extricate it from the tent. She's strong, but wombats are built of solid muscle and are hard to budge. Eventually it gets the point and fudges off just as I'm waking up. Life lesson. Food is to be locked in the car always. Fuck the animals. Oz has the gimpy tree. Google it. It is proof that gosh hates us. We'd just built a new house and all the construction from the new estate had removed large amounts of bushland and so disturbed its inhabitants. Baby Doogite got inside and my mum was the only one home, so she trapped it with a bucket and her 5L wog olive oil can on top. Came home with dad expecting a fudging python the way she'd been carrying on, but it was only little. Apparently they're more dangerous because they can't control the venom. Not my own story because I haven't had much encounters except for Fajestic magpies swooping me and Fajestic magpie supporters annoying the spit out of me. Not me, but one of my good Australian friends had some emus in his backyard and he came back to the mic and said, "Fudging emus, I swear third time I hit one with a rock this week." Me and my Canadian friend was dying after hearing this and we lost the game because of laughing. I was poking this spider with my finger really quickly, and at one point I poked it really hard and all of a sudden all these little spiders I didn't see on its abdomen exploded everywhere. I was squirming the hell out and I just ran into my house and started splashing water on my face non-stop. Another time a red-bellied black snake came into a shed and I was poking it with a stick. Snakes are actually pretty fast and it just zoomed away through all the tools and between the exit. I waited a bit and full sprinted through to the exit and closed the door and informed the owner of the shed. Had a Maasai huntsman bite me on the back after I put on a shirt that I just got down from the clothesline. Once while I was sleeping I was woken up by my brother who had spotted a large funnel web spider. https://australianmuseum.net.au/learn/animals/spiders/funnel-web-spiders-group/ sneaking into my room. Turned the light on and the spider had been heading right for me in bed as if it also wanted to sleep. Anyway, we sprayed it, dropped multiple large books on it, and for a while it just wouldn't die. It was so tough. After something was dropped directly on it, it would just try to run away. Not Australian, but at 18 I was working in the outback. We had been fighting bushfires for the day and I was driving back to our homestead for the night on my own in one of the big trucks. It was about 50k drive and was pitch black. Out of nowhere came a group of around 30 bush pigs. I hit maybe 15 of them and got 2 punctures. Changing to tires on a truck on your own in the middle of the outback at night was a pretty scary experience, I have to say. Was walking home from school along the waterfront when I came across a massive elephant seal. That was surprising, to put it mildly. This happened to me about 6 months ago, but it still scares the entire spit and fudge out of me just thinking about it. So it's summer, the school holidays. I wake up one morning. I'm very slow to wake up because sleeping doesn't refresh me at all. So eventually, after I've internalized the pain of still being alive, I slowly open my eyes and turn my head to the right. Spider the size of my fucking hand is on my mattress right next to my head. No, thank the fuck out of you, sir, I'm gay. Woke me the fudge up, at least. Caught the fudger in a cup and threw it outside. Spiders legitimately plagued my dreams for a few days after that. But after a while the traumatizing experience had faded into nothing more than a fun and or terrifying conversation starter and Reddit comment, I guess. When I was about 4, a massive spider crawled up my leg. Honestly, even with spider encounters and such, roos can be the most frightening when it comes to driving in any location or condition where they can suddenly leap out onto the road. Jeebus. Turned around whilst snorkeling to find a lionfish about 10 centimeters away from my face. Not mine, but my dad's story. So back when my dad was 23-24, he was living NG in his good mate's house and slept in the garage. Aussies, you know where this is going. So one night when he was falling asleep, he rolled over and just before he drifted off he felt this little tiny thing. He woke up the next morning sweating an ocean from his leg, and his leg was also pulsating. He lifted it up to see a 6 centimeters dead redback spider. He told his mate and he was rushed to hospital. He was there for the day, being watched over on the phone with my mum the entire time. When the doctors let him go, that said any long before he got there and he would have been gone, so oh yay, redbacks are nice creatures, I guess. Pulling up a crab pot in the NT and a croc decided to have a tug of war with us. We were in a 10-foot tinny and the croc was at least 15 feet long. My family owns a beach house on a South Australian coast. Since I partly grew up there, one of the first things I learnt about the ocean was from my grandpa, and it was a stern talk from him to be careful when collecting shells because of blue-ringed octopuses. They are a really venomous octopus and an anti-venom doesn't exist. I've only seen one whilst swimming, but it was a little too close for comfort. Not an Aussie, but day one of visiting Oz I'm in a porta potty and prepare to do the deed when I become acutely aware of 5 large spiders that have taken residence directly above my head. Well, I'd heard just about everything there is poisonous, and seeing as each spider looked different I figured high odds of one being able to kill me. Bad time for performance anxiety, but that was the number one longest piss in my life.